This is how I landed my six-figure job at 20 years old that lets me travel around the world. From graduating high school at 17 to signing my first six-figure job at 20 years old, I am really excited to go into the nitty-gritty and the details on how exactly I did that. And in order to do that, we're gonna have to take it way back when I was in high school. Kayla's high school era. Okay, let's touch on this because I do think, even though some people think high school isn't that pivotal, that it really does have an impact into your overall life, honestly, and also your career trajectory as well. Because looking back, now that I'm 24 years old and having been in my six-figure career in tech for the past 3 years, I can certainly look back and say that some things that I established in high school absolutely paid off for me now. So when I was in high school, I actually graduated high school in 3 years by graduating 1 year early, and I was 17 when I graduated. I was able to do this because I was a military brat and I ended up passing and getting advanced classes pretty early on. One of the things I can remember is that when I was in 6th grade or maybe even 7th grade, we got this math test, and our teacher didn't explain what it was. She just handed it out to I think all of the 6th graders, and she was like, here, take this. And I remember finishing it and not thinking anything of it, and it was me and one other boy in my class that ended up getting we skipped all of the rest of the middle school math and started taking high school math, which was I believe algebra 1 at the time. And so I had a very early, I think, experience when it came to advanced classes. So when I hit high school, taking the AP courses and taking advanced and honors and Spanish 5, I was feeling comfortable in that, and that's kind of where my trajectory of school was already going. Outside of academically being able to have achieved the graduating high school early, I also did a lot of extracurriculars, which I believe really helped me stand out when it comes to college. And I know you'll hear people say oh my god, extracurriculars, they don't matter. They do. I think they matter. I think they show personality, and I think they also allow you to have something to talk to or talk about when you're in college, or when you're connecting with people, or when you're writing your college essays, right? So I ended up doing mock trial. I did beta club, where I believe I was actually, not even I believe, I was secretary 1 year. I did DECA, where I placed state and regional. So I was always very involved in the extracurriculars when it came to school, and more importantly, I was involved with the ones that I cared about. And so if you can take anything from that, I was kind of busy in high school. I was balancing AP courses, I was balancing honors courses, I was balancing having a part-time job because I also did that. I was, balancing all of that while also graduating an entire year early and shoving my junior year and my senior year in 1 year. So it was a lot, but one thing that I remember about myself in high school was that I had a vision for myself. And the vision that I had for myself was that I didn't know everything, right, about who I would be, who I wanted to be, but I knew that what I wanted to achieve would require some change in the way I showed up, maybe compared to some other people. I knew that if I wanted to take this AP course, maybe I couldn't go out with my friends to the movies, or we couldn't parade at the mall, and those things aren't bad. I definitely believe do that if that's what you want, but it's just a give and take. What are you willing to do in place of what you want to achieve? And I think I understood that pretty early, which is why when I was in high school, I was really, really focused on doing well in it and getting to college. Okay, so let's talk about college. I actually started off as a marketing major at Howard University. I applied as a marketing major, I got accepted as a marketing major, and I changed my major within the first week. Actually, not even the first regular school week. I changed my major within the first freshman week is what it's called, where it's just all freshmen and you're just kind of learning about freshman stuff, freshman orientation, blah, 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 blah. I changed my major immediately. I think it was day 3. And you may be wondering why. Well, let me give you an answer. I remember being at orientation, and again, I talked about this in my high school part, but my exposure to business was accounting and marketing. And a lot of that came from what I knew from people, and a lot of that came from what I had been experiencing in DECA. I was creating marketing business plans, stuff like that. So that's why that's all I knew and all I thought about. And so that's why I applied in as a marketing major. So during my freshman week, I remember we had to learn about all of the other courses within our School of Business, which is what marketing is in, at Howard University. And one of the orientations was supply chain management. And I remember my advisor getting on the stage and he has this white t-shirt and he's like, "Where did this come from?" Right? And it sounds like a really simple answer. It sounds like Walmart, Target, da-da-da-da. Like, it sounds easy, right? No, because everybody's answering like, Walmart, Target. And he's like,
Like, where did it come from? Where did it come from? Where did it come from?
And so I'm like, what the heck is it? What's going on here? And then he's like, no, like, where did the cotton come from? Where did the thread come from? What cotton is that? Like, how is it being transported? Is the cotton on a plane? Is it on a train? Like, and he's just going so in depth. And that's when I realized, like, oh, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to be ingrained in a product. Like, I want to be a part of a product story. And I felt like the only way I could do that beforehand was through marketing, right? Where I felt like, oh, let me tell a product story to a customer and get them to buy it. But it was something about being able to be ingrained in the actual products becoming that intrigued me so much. Like, if I could look at a product and be like, I did this piece and that. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm literally I'm a part of the product story, and it sold me. So I changed my major immediately. I went to talk to my advisor and I was like, hey, I'm changing my major to this. Could you tell me more about it? Now, that was something that was really critical too, is that I spoke to my advisor. That is one piece of advice that I would definitely give the freshmen, is talk to your advisor, build a relationship with them. They have been doing this for years. They know the ins and out of your major. They know the people that have come and gone. They know some of the internships that are trying to approach and get you guys in the talent pipeline. Like, they know this, and I didn't know obviously all that at the time, but I naturally built a relationship with my advisor through just being curious as to what my major was. And so he was super helpful, and I switched my major like within 3 days of me being there to supply chain management, where I have my degree in. Outside of building a relationship with my advisor, something else that I think was really key was the fact that my advisor, because I was so like invested in supply chain management, also connected me to like this leadership, basically me, I was the only freshman, and a bunch of MBA students, and it was like a leadership academy is what I'll call it. And he would try to basically work on like what our career objectives were, what our values were, like what were these things that we were in school for, and how do they work on the outside of this, which was really my first time thinking about that, to be honest. Like, obviously when somebody's like, you go to college, you get a job, that's all you think about. You don't really think about, oh, what values are going to align for me to be able to get that job, and if the job does not align with those values, I probably should not take that job, right? We don't always think about that, or at least I didn't. So when I was in this academy, it helped me so much understand the real connection of the outside world to what my major was. And so that's also something I would recommend, is really understanding like who are the people that are in your major that are the MBA students and the grad students, who are the people that have already seen the outside world. Like, get an understanding of what this actually means, not to scare anybody, but what you decide your major on really does like shape your life. And of course you can change it. You can change it to whatever you want, but you have to understand on what you finalize and what you really decide to graduate in. It does matter. It does matter. You're paying for this, you know? So for me, it was really important to understanding supply chain management. Outside of those aspects of my freshman year, my GPA sucked. Yes, it did. Why, I think, is because I was not fully mentally there, to be honest, as to like what the difference between high school and college was. Like, I think I was still trying to approach it real high schooly, like, oh, I don't have to study. Oh, this is easy. No, I do though. Like, I had to really develop that practice. And so when freshman year ended, my GPA was not that great, and I also did not have a freshman year internship. Now let's get to sophomore year, where I finally got an internship. When sophomore year hit, I really locked in. I'm not gonna lie, what I saw at the end of my freshman year when it came to my GPA, I was like, this isn't you. This is not what we represent. This is not what we do. And it wasn't my parents. It wasn't my aunts and uncles on my neck about it. It was like very much so me versus me, which I feel like has always been my experience in terms of like the way I've been able to be successful in this life, is like I put the pressure on myself, and that can be good or bad, but I have really great expectations out of myself, and I've had them since being a kid, and I think that's helped a lot. So when I saw my freshman year GPA, I was like, no girly, we are not going to continue sophomore year like this. This is not how the rest of our college experience is going to go. So what I did sophomore year is I locked the fuck in. Like, I really was there in those office hours. If I did not understand something, I got close with my professors. Those professors, you think like, oh, that doesn't matter. No, it does matter. They need to know your face. Like, they can help you. Like, I'm telling you, like, you learn early on that networking actually is important, even in college, down to your professors, down to your fellow students. It does matter. So that was something I did. I took my academics extremely serious and boosted my GPA tremendously. And something else I did was get a job. I got a little side job at this place called Union Kitchen in DC, where I was making breakfast sandwiches and making lattes, kind of stocking shelves because they had little snacks you could buy. Honey, I was doing it. I was like, really? Like, it's funny because I look back and I'm like, girl, you was doing so much. And I was. And this is something my parents were like, you don't need a job. And I was like, but I want a job. And truth be told, getting a job at that time was like the best thing I could have done for myself, because it really had me lock into discipline. Like, I learned discipline my sophomore year in college. I learned it because I actually wanted to take my academics serious, and I realized what it would take for me to do that, which included studying, which included office hours, which included time commitments that I did not want to give my freshman year because I would maybe miss out on a party, but I was willing to give that up my sophomore year. And then on top of having a job, I got extra money. I was learning about savings. I was learning about creating a Roth IRA. I was learning about all those things. Like, the way I just like locked in my sophomore year, I think was very, very, very pivotal into where I am now. After doing all of that, like locking in the first semester, guess what happened? COVID hit. Yes, right during my spring break. I remember that like it was yesterday. And so we all got sent home, and the summer internship that I had actually got canceled. And I was one of the few people whose internship got canceled. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, that felt like the end of the fucking world for me. I was like, yo, like all this hard work I put in, like I didn't have an internship my freshman year, now I don't have one my sophomore year, I'm not gonna have a job. Like, I was kind of losing it. And after I hit my little woe is me, I locked back in. Let's actually pause on the woe is me. I think the woe is me was because I put a lot of value on the path that I had envisioned for myself, which was a very easy path, right? Like, you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna get this. Perfect. And when that doesn't happen, it was like, well, what is this? And now I have the approach in life, and obviously looking back, where like those detours actually make the path. Like, those detours are so critical into defining who you are, into creating a better story for yourself, into having people invest in you because you have more characteristics than what you would have had if everything was fucking easy. Even though I had my woe is me moment, I came out of that and I locked in. Once I locked in, I decided to take some summer classes where I got some like extra credits because I had the time. And I also did something that was really pivotal, which was take these summer sessions that companies were offering. One of those companies were Goldman Sachs. I forget the other company, but yeah. And you may be asking yourself like how I got those. I can't remember at the time. I think it was either I was like literally on their website and I was like, oh, you're offering something to undergrads? Perfect, sign me up. And then I think the other opportunity came via like my school. Like, they send out emails about companies and stuff like that. So it's really critical that you're plugged into what's going on at your school. Like, what are the companies saying? What do they want you to sign up? And all these opportunities may seem annoying, like going to these little events may seem annoying, shaking hands, joining the sessions, they seem annoying, but they're important, and I'm going to show you why. So after getting those extra credits, after joining those summer sessions, Goldman Sachs actually extended out a like early candidate interview to everybody that attended the summer sessions, in which I was able to interview for a summer internship for my junior year. Now let's get into my junior year. Junior year was grind mode. As much as sophomore year was grind mode, I would say sophomore year was like setting myself up for success. Junior year was like, okay, I see that I've kind of built something here. Now we really got to get into it. This year, I achieved 2 internships. I had one spring internship my second semester, and then I also had my summer internship. So when I interviewed with Goldman Sachs for that early interview like thing that I got from the summer sessions my sophomore sophomore summer, I actually got the opportunity to intern with them in New York for their sales and training program. Why sales and training? It actually wasn't supposed to be sales and training. It was supposed to be in operations. Then I got a call from like the internship, I don't know, program leader, and he was like,
we think you would be a great fit in sales and training.
And I was like, okay, sounds good to me. I'll do it. And so yeah, I had already locked in that summer internship pretty early on to my first semester of junior year. Also, something very critical that happened first semester of junior year was I thought to myself, why not graduate early again? At the time, I didn't know if I actually could. It was very much so a thought with me and my best friend at the time when we were like, we should like graduate college early. Like we should just do it. Girl, we were like tipsy, but it was a good idea. And then I actually looked at my degree works, which is where like all of your credits are laid out and how close you are to getting your degree, at least at Howard it was. I realized like, oh, I can graduate a whole semester early. Like, okay, perfect. And so I locked into that. I was like, okay, I'm graduating college a semester early. I have my summer internship lined up. What else we got? I started working out. I started really getting like comfortable in the gym. I started really saving money, investing, having my Roth IRA funded, having emergency funds saved. And then I also locked in a spring internship with United States Steel that I got the opportunity to interview from through my school. And so that was also very pivotal. And granted, at the time, and probably even now, it's a smaller company, but the fact that it was actually in supply chain management made all of the difference. Like the internship was in procurement, which is actually what I do now in my full-time career. So I was able to have real life experience as to what my degree was in. And that was just, I mean, that was priceless. So all in all, junior year, I was really locked in. I was locked into getting these internships. I was locked into myself, my finances, and whatever it took. And I will say those again came out of sacrifice. Like maybe I'm not at the party going out till 2 a.m. Whatever the case is, I would just say like understand what you are willing to give up for your goals. Like truly understand that, because we can say all day we want something, but if we're not willing to actually set aside the time, if we're not willing to say actually I can't go out tonight because I want to do this, then you don't really want that. You know what I mean? Like that discipline is everything. And so that's definitely something I would say that I took away from my junior year was like discipline is truly key. Before we get into senior year, let's touch back on the summer between my junior to my senior year. So this was the summer that I interned at Goldman Sachs and I did sales and trading, and I quickly realized sales and trading is not for me. I hated it. I was not a finance girly. I did not like New York, and maybe I didn't like New York because of the internship. I did not like having my little blazer and my button-up shirt every day. That was not my vibe, and I just did not like it. All in all, it was really not a good fit for me, but I saw it through, and I do think that is something that is extremely important. Despite me not liking it, I understood what I didn't like. Like there's such a blessing in knowing what you don't like. Like people say all the time like, oh my god, you just wasted time. No, you didn't. You got closer to what's actually for you because now you know what you won't fall for. Because at least then, because I found out so early on that I was not for the finance world, now I'm not looking at, you know, the finance girls on TikTok like, dang, wish that was me. No, I know I don't want it to be me, because I know that I don't have the things that mesh well with that for myself. And so I think that's a very beautiful thing about taking some of those risky opportunities that don't seem perfectly aligned, is that you at least get to find out what you don't like. Because honestly, with my Goldman Sachs internship, it was between them and another supply chain management company. And the supply chain management company, I want to say was like Raytheon, and they were like 2 hours away. It would have been perfect. I would have been super comfortable, but I still went with sales and trading in New York City at Goldman Sachs, that I would have to leave all my friends, be in a new place for 3 months that I had never been before, and all of that. And I'm still so grateful to this day that I did it, because I figured out what I did not like, and that is priceless. Now let's get into senior year. Senior year, I was actually really excited because I knew for a fact I was going to be graduating in 1 semester, and as much excitement as I had, I also had a lot of anxiety, because I imagine that when you go to a summer internship before your senior year, like this is the company you sign with. Like that's how I had heard it happen for like everybody. Like they go to Dell for the summer and now they're a Dell full-time employee. Like it just sounded like that's what you do, and that's also what happened for like a lot of the people that I had heard from in college. Like wherever you intern, you sign with them. cool. Because I had realized I did not like my experience, and although a lot of people were giving me the advice of stay there for just a year, I was like, I was not happy there. And I realized very quickly, happiness is priceless. And if I am unhappy at a job, I will be unhappy in my life, because this is so many hours of my day. Realizing that I wasn't going to be going full-time with the summer internship that I had, I sort of panicked / also locked into a plan B. I started applying. I was applying night and day and night. Baby, I was throwing my resume everywhere. I was updating my LinkedIn. I was networking. I was doing all it took to figure out what jobs were for me. And I will say it paid off tremendously, because I got at least like 8 different job offers, like from Dell to Pfizer to, I can't even remember all the jobs, honestly. None of them felt right. None of them felt right. And I remember thinking to myself, like, what the fuck? Why am I not happy about this? And I remember feeling that in my heart, and I was like, dang, like everybody gets, you know, their job offer and they're supposed to feel excited and happy, and I just didn't have that. And I'll never forget, I was talking to my little sister about something with the job offer from Dell, like waiting for me to accept it, because out of all the offers I had, they were definitely like top of mind for me, and they were going to be the one that I went with. But I was in bed with my little sister, chatting with her, actually giving her advice, funny enough, and I look at my LinkedIn, and in my LinkedIn, like a dream company that I never thought would reached out to me. Like, they're in my LinkedIn DMs. I remember like locking my phone and being like, nah, and then opening it back up like, somebody's playing with me. Like, this is a sick fucking prank. Like, that's how I felt. And they were like, hey, like, we loved your resume, we loved your bio, we would love if you like interview. And we scheduled like a call, like a phone screening, and we went over it. Now, this was the thing. The job was in California. They wanted me to start in January. And those were 2 things that I was like, actually no. Like, I had worked so hard in my life so I could just have a semester off. I did not want to work right after I graduated, which is why I graduated a semester early. I wanted a semester to do nothing. And so when they were like starting in January, I was like, oh girl, no. And it was in California, and I was living in South Carolina at the time. Absolutely not. Y'all have not sold. I remember telling my recruiter, like, no, I actually don't want it. Which, looking back, is kind of crazy, but this is also some advice that I look back and I take with me, is that what's for you is truly for you. Like, you cannot reject what is for you, because I outright was like, I don't want to do this. And she literally called me and she was like, hey, I'll give you a week to think about this. Gave me a week. I was like, okay, well, I could only get better at interviewing, so let me do this interview process, go through the interviews. Honestly, can't tell if they were feeling me or not. I think I had like 5 different interviews, like back to back, but the very next day I had an interview with like somebody senior, which would be like my final round. Same day of that final round, I get a call. They're like, she loved you, job offers yours, we're sending the information on Monday, because that was a Friday. And I was like, oh my God. And also the best thing about this was that they were not asking me to start in January. They were still asking me to go to California, and I was like, like, okay, let me see the offer. But they were not asking me to start in January. They were asking me to start in that summer, which is what I felt comfortable with. And so once the offer came through and I saw the numbers, I said, I could go to California. I could do it. Amazing job offer. It allowed me equity in the company. It allowed me a 6-figure salary, no stocks or anything, just pure cash. It was like it had a sign-on bonus. It had a relocation. Like, it was a dream offer for somebody that I didn't think I would get at 20 years old. And so, I mean, I signed my name, and that's how I locked in my 6-figure job at 20 years old. I locked this job in November. I graduated in December. I had a semester to travel, move to California, and I have been here for the past 3 years in my career, and I'm now 24. And so if there is one bit of advice I can give you, it truly is that everything happens for a reason. Like, all of those detours and those pitfalls and those hardships that we can't stand, they make for such an excellent journey. Like, there's so many aspects of my story that I was like, what the heck? But looking back, it actually got me to somewhere else. And I can even name a few. Like, the fact that I worked in that coffee shop, the Goldman Sachs interviewers I had loved that. They loved that I had worked in a coffee shop and I help implement a new hire onboarding process to make things easier. A lot of the companies I had interviewed with for full-time roles as I was a senior loved the fact that I had intern in sales and trading, despite that not being supply chain. They loved the fact that I figured out what wasn't for me and that I took a little bit of a risk. Like, these are such little aspects that actually made up for a great story, which has been my life. And so that's one piece of advice that I would give you is be focused, be disciplined, but also understand that all of those hardships and detours that you have make for such an amazing story that will all come together in due time. Thank you so much for watching how I got my six-figure role at 20 years old, and I will tell you all about how I signed and how I negotiated my offer, and also what my experience was going from college to a big girl job in my next video.